Alright. Okay, so I wasn't going to film this, but I figured out what the hell, right? So I've got some surface rust here, and I think it's surface rust. I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is I have a spot blaster. I'm going to spot blast this and see what happens. If I can get this to come off with the spot blast, okay, and it'll bring it back to bare metal again. I'm not going to make the patch that big. The patch only needs to be this big, so I'm gonna make the pattern. I'm only gonna make the pattern about this big. Like I said, I don't know if my fat head's in the way there. Like I said, I'm gonna take the spot blaster and see what happens. It looks kind of like it might be perforated. When I cleaned the paint off the backside, it was coming off like there was rust had perforated through. But you know what? See, my pattern's too small, so I need to move the pattern out to about here, right about there. I don't have tape. Oh shit! I got tape. So I already have this, this like this. I bent this already, but this is oversized, and that's fine. I can trim that off. So what I forgot was tape. All right, so I still have to get the blaster out. Still got to get the blaster out. But I think I can get away with it. Not worth trying to make that. This is going to have, it actually already has a pretty thick coating of something under it. Because the paint's thicker down here than it is up higher. Alright, so, you can't see it. So I'm going to measure the thickness. So I'm going to cut some reliefs in this. Alright, so that's my template. Ooh, blood. You must have blooded on it somewhere. Blood's really corrosive. This is brake clean. I've talked about this before. That's a piece of sheet metal with cosmoline all over it, or whatever they use, whatever oil there is on that. And that's got to go. This is a piece of 20 gauge cold rolled, I guess. I don't know what the hell it is. 20 gauge sheet metal. If you read Boyd Coddington's Hot Rod Bodywork book, or there's another one I got that's there are the sheet metal fabrication and techniques. It goes over the different types of steel that's used in auto bodies. They say to use AK, aluminum kilned, which has like a coating on it, makes it softer. I just buy whatever shit I can get at Fazio's. So in the previous video you saw me make this template for the rear quarter panel on my truck. That one piece is welded in, but I got to move it around a little bit. The welding process actually twisted it. So I have I sprayed some primer on it, and I have it in traction right now with the porta power pushing it up into position. That was a screw up on my part. It's okay, we'll live. So the way this works is I cut this, okay? And you can see here, it's like origami. All right. So this is the piece I want to make. So I cut it. It actually could probably use another cut right in here. You want these to be even, but it doesn't matter. But what we've taken is a flat piece of paper, created a shaped piece of paper, and then we made a flat piece of paper again, if that makes any sense. Got my handy dandy Milwaukee Wrightsall Inksall Sharpie. Yes, I know it's not a Sharpie. I've actually found these to be the best. Let me see here. Now I'm going to have to make two of these, a right and a left. Because of course, both sides are rotted out, front and back. Now, I'm just gonna. I have this is a factory edge, or a shear cut edge. I'm assuming it's relatively square. The guys at Fazio's generally are pretty good about square. Look at that, perfect. It's almost like I just cut one of these out. I did, I cut it out of the 18 gauge, which is not what I wanted to use for this. 18 is, the 18 is a little bit hard to bend, especially when you're drawing as much as I am. I'm not drawing, I'm shrinking as much as I am. I may actually end up having to cut, make some cuts in this to get that to bend as much as I want it to. You never know. So, I'm going to put our gloves back on. And I probably should put my earplugs in, but I'm not going to. My shear here. Story of my life. Inch too short. The 18 cuts a lot nicer too. And of course, dropping it on the floor, I bent the hell out of the corner. I would rather have a table to do this stuff on, but I don't have one. I have a table. It's covered in junk. Any tool can be the right tool. All right. Because I got to use this as a brake, because I don't have a brake. Of course, I forgot to mark it. Alright, so I marked the sheet. Yeah, you can see it. Now there's two brake lines on here. This is the brake line that matters. Okay, it's this one. This one's just here as a point of reference for me. I mentioned earlier that this actually needs to be kind of not a crisp brake. This wants to be, actually it wants to be pretty soft, like that. Okay, so there's a pretty decent radius in there. I'd mentioned before I could have, if I had a real brake, I'd put a pipe in it with the correct radius to bend it, blah blah blah. I don't have any of that stuff. So that's how it's getting done. that bag in there. Yeah, well, it's as good as it's gonna get. Now, I have a pretty interesting thing going on here in that I have the I have this piece, okay, which is actually what this needs to fit up to. So this is the wheelhouse, the wheel molding. So I've got this right here with me to act as a kind of a form. This is kind of tedious. I'm gonna probably fast forward through most of this anyway. So that's how it's gonna be oriented on the car, because I put the brake line on the wrong spot. This brake line actually belongs down here. I think that goes in there. This is actually, this width here is actually too much for this tool. Really, to do this right, I would need a deeper throated one, and I don't have that. The other thing is, a long time ago I lost the handle for this. And it likes to jump out of this vise. This is supposed to be mounted on a stand and bolted to the floor. I don't do that much work to do that with. I do have a stand over there, but it's not in a good spot. And it is bolted to the floor, but it's not in a good spot. So what I need to do is put a curve in this. Now the shrinker actually really likes short little bites. And then I want to go in a little deeper. So that's what it does. Now what I have to do now is I got to go back over to my my anvil and use a slapper on it to get it to shrink more. So eventually what it's going to want to do is it's going to bend all the way around. Right this very second, I'm actually tempted to just cut this off here and make this too short and then weld a piece to it to get the correct curve to it. I'm not sure yet. Give me a minute. You know what? I'm in no mood to deal with this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this right there, pound it flat, and then just run the shear on it. It'll make this job a lot easier. And I get my earplugs out. All right, I'll get back to this, and when it's already starting to move. I got tired of fighting with it with that wider piece, so I did cut it. I trimmed it down. It's just easier to use this tool this way. So you can see what's going on here. I'm curving it. What that tool does is it gathers up the metal. But the other thing I'm doing is I'm shrinking it along this edge here to get it to be the curve of the bottom of the wheelhouse. Works better if you use the right end. All right, so you can see here I got more to go, and then I have to make this up too. That I might just beat the hell out of it to stretch it to fit in there. It's just, it takes forever. There's no other way to do it. I mean, I could make a hammer form, you know, and do it that way, but then I have to make the hammer form. So basically, I'm just gonna keep at it. I'm just gonna keep shrinking this. You can actually watch it move. It's pretty significant. See it? This tool likes little bites and then a deeper bite. You want to move a lot of metal quickly. You just catch it right on the edge here. Yeah, you catch it right on the edge and give it a shot. Oh, hey, made a liar out of me. There we go. There, you can see it really pulls it in. Okay, what it does do is it puts a bulge in it right there. So now I have to take it back over to the anvil and beat on it with the slapper to take that out of there. So because you want this to be flat, that's the whole idea, that this needs to be flat, and it's not flat right now. So I'm going to take it back over to the anvil right here. There's so much shit in the way. I'm back over at the anvil. I'm actually probably going to end up having to get the railroad track out because I'm starting to run out of radius on this. I got to put my earplugs in. This is really loud. So that's now gone. So that's now gone. And I go back to the shrinker and do it again. You keep going back and forth until you get the curve that you need in it. I'm getting pretty close. Then I'll put it on the railroad track. So might as well just get it out. So there's my hunk of railroad track, which is nice and rusty. Stick it on there like that. So you can see the curve starting to come in. I'm going to run it through the wheel a few times too. This is actually pretty close. It's got a little flat spot in the bottom actually. I may have to draw just one spot in more abruptly. So we'll go back over. When I get it a little bit even closer than it is, I'll fire the camera back up. I think I'm going to have to put more of a radius in this.